planetary strategy of taking as much carbon out of the ground as we possibly can, as quickly as possible, and putting it into the atmosphere. It is that process that has primarily led to the steady buildup of temperature. As a consequence, we have been forced to turn our attention to how we could possibly solve this crisis. And in paying tribute to Roger Revelle, I always link the current debates and the struggle for solutions to what he did. During one of the earlier tributes, one expert noted in placing Roger Revelle in the context of the history of science that the work that he charted in establishing the International Geophysical Year and the Carbon Project within the International Geophysical Year, the project that Charles David Keeling faithfully and brilliantly carried out to perfection for a half century, turns out to be, in the view of many historians of science, one of only 3 long-term systematic measurement series that fundamentally altered the history of science. The other 2, in this historian's view, being the measurements of the motions of Jupiter's moons by Tycho Brahe that led to Isaac Newton's law of gravity. The second being Albert Michelson's measurements of the speed of light, which led to Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. Pretty good company to be in. Pretty good company. And as a consequence of his work, he's not only changed the history of science, but has also set the agenda for all of us this year and in the years just ahead. How can we possibly solve this crisis? Because it is a planetary challenge, it has to be solved on a global basis, which means that every nation on Earth has to be a part of the solution. Indeed, were all of the wealthy nations in the world to suddenly stop emitting CO2 right now, then in another 30, 40 years, because of CO2 emissions in the developing world, we would be right back to where we are now, headed toward the same catastrophe that we would face if we don't address this. So, and moreover, for political reasons, global political reasons, it is impossible to imagine a solution in any nation that does not include the cooperation of every nation. In a world economy characterized by IT-empowered outsourcing, manufacturers and other business leaders in this country rightly worry that some constraint that does not apply in other nations would, in short order, lead to unfair competition from businesses elsewhere in the world. By the same token, leaders in poor countries asked to bear the exact same burden that wealthy countries are asked to bear, rightly say, wait a minute, we didn't create this problem, you did. We are now contributing to it, yes, but our ability to be a part of the solution is a tiny fraction of your ability to be a part of the solution. So differentiated responsibilities are the order of the day. Balancing these 2 perspectives between the wealthy nations and the poor nations is, to say the least, a very difficult challenge. And at a time when the global economy is reeling from a synchronized global recession and a worsening credit crisis, many have said this can't be taken up right now. But because of the leadership of President Barack Obama and several other leaders around the world, we are now seeing the emergence of a new understanding that is serving as the basis of an important new U.S. initiative that will soon become a global initiative. It is based on the realization that the solutions to the economic crisis and the solutions to the long-time absurd dependence on foreign oil on the part of the United States and the security crisis that results when we see the largest reserves of oil come under some shadow, and the solutions to the climate crisis are all the same solutions. If you look at all three of these crises, economic, security, and climate, there is a common thread that runs through them all. And that common thread is our absurd and ridiculous overdependence on dirty, dangerous, vulnerable, carbon-based fuels. If you grab that thread and pull on it, all three of these crises begin to unravel, and you hold in your hand the answer to the challenge, which is a shift from carbon-based fuels to renewable energy. A generational, one-off investment to transform our energy infrastructure from one that's based on carbon to one that's based on fuels that are free forever. The wind, the sun, the earth itself. Ingenuity and innovation expressed in greater levels of efficiency and conservation, the largest single source of new power. We are now engaged in a debate here in the United States that will come to a head this summer. Congressional leaders made clear just 2 days ago that all of the major pieces of legislation pending in the rest of this year related to climate, the cap and trade proposal to put a cap on global warming pollution and allow the market to help us distribute the most efficient solutions, a renewable energy standard to require utilities, as California has long since done, to require utilities to have a certain percentage of their power generated by renewable energy, the construction of an electricity superhighway, or what some call the Unified National Smart Grid, and new measures to promote efficiency, conservation, and support for renewable energy production. All four of these measures are now going to be combined into a single bill that will come to the floor of the House and Senate this spring or summer in a monumental debate with all the chips on the table and the last best chance the United States of America has to lead the world toward a solution for the most serious crisis human civilization has ever confronted. I tell you this because I want to ask you to get involved in that debate, as Alec Loers has already. I want to ask you to focus clearly on what is at stake in our country this year that will provide either a yes or no answer to the question that Roger Revelle framed so long ago. Will we recognize what we're doing? Will we recognize it's totally unprecedented and that we have to confront it? We've now gotten to the point where it's time to act. We have to solve this crisis. And I'm talking to you, but I'm asking you to be a part of that solution. I'm not engaging here in a rhetorical exercise. I'm using words